Back at it again. We have the other side of the car now. We're going to be addressing this area. I fixed a quarter panel, a year ago or so, as you guys know, older videos. But I never did address this dent that's going on up top. It's super hard to see it. Kind of see it coming in here. So I just have a piece of test wrap on there just to see how bad it was going to look. But this time I think I'm going to address that dent and try to get it filled. I don't believe I can get it pushed out, so I'm just going to kind of fill it. I'm going to go on ahead and pull this patch off, take a closer look at it, and we'll get to sanding it down to bare metal and seeing what we're working with. All right, so I got the area where the dent is kind of masked off a little bit. We're going to go with the orbital sander, and we're going to hit it with some 60 grit. Just try and break down all the paint all the way down to bare metal. Hopefully it doesn't take too long to get through the layers, but we're going to hit the time lapse. We're going to get down to the nitty gritty. All right, pretty much got the area prepped and ready. We got everything scuffed down with 60 grit, and we feathered the edges with 80 grit. I just cleaned it off with some wax and grease remover. We're ready to mix up the Bondo body filler. We're gonna put a nice thin layer here and start filling in this dent. All right, we're styling, man. We're styling. We're getting it done. We're doing stuff, making progress. We got the first layer of body filler on here. Not too shabby, if I gotta say. Kind of feathered the edges a little bit, kind of make the sanding process a little quicker. So yeah, we're just waiting for this to cure, let it set up, and then we'll get sanding on it and see if we need to add another layer or two. So again, it's a waiting game, but it's all in the prep, It's all in the prep. One day it's gonna look good, real good. That is all. All right, 15 minutes has passed. We're gonna go on ahead and hit it with the 80 grit, kind of shape it a little bit, and then we'll finish it off with 180 grit. So you guys know the drill. Let's go ahead and get the sanding. Let's make some dust, baby. Obviously, we're gonna add another layer to slowly build up the layers and slowly fill in this dent. We'll call that good and let her dry and sand her down. Slowly disappearing. I might do one more little skim coat to kind of just even it out. So that's it for tonight. We'll see you guys in the next one. All right. So we did a couple spots last night. A couple little spots I filled in and flattened out. They're both feeling nice and smooth, and I want to definitely address the trunk next. It's been about 2 years since I did the body work and prime on basically on my trunk and my roof. So it's held up for 2 years of just bare primer. So I was pretty surprised on how it held up. I already kind of sanded that through the primer, but you can see cracks. You can see failure going on here. You can see where I patched the holes from my original spoiler. Starting to poke through there, and they're just like other little cracks and imperfections going on. Bunch of cracks there. So I'm basically gonna start at step 1 and get this thing sanded back down to basically the bottom layer. I don't know if I'm gonna go all the way to metal. In some areas I'm going to. Once I start sanding it down, you'll see all my Bondo body filler escapades going on underneath. So I have a whole playlist on prepping for the next wrap. And here I am prepping for the same wrap 2 years later because I delayed the process a little too long. I think I'm gonna get 60 or 80 grit on my orbital sander and start breaking through the layers. I'm gonna tape off the perimeter so I don't do any damage, to the window to the glass, any other areas I don't want to kind of scuff up. So that's the game plan for tonight. We will see how far I get. Let's get cracking on this. All right, so here is where I'm at. So I just got pretty much all of the crusty looking cracking spots sanded down with the 80 grit on the orbital sander. We broke down to the bare metal, most of the areas. This is my reinforced steel putty that I used to plug the holes for the spoiler. I only did see these two that were coming up, so I didn't bother even digging into the other ones because those still seem like they're nice and safe underneath the layers. So hopefully I will be able to do some coats of body filler on these spots. All right, fellas, we got the first layer of body filler on all of the problem areas. Just a nice thin, ugly coat. So yeah, we're gonna sand off about 80% of what we have here, so no worries. All right, so another night. Another night means another layer of Bondo on the problem areas on the trunk. Letting this stuff cure right now. We're gonna be sanding it down with 80, finishing it off with 180. Gonna give it a feel for and see if there's any dips or low spots or anything else that I need to address. High build primers next on these spots. I don't think it's necessary to do the whole trunk again. I'm just gonna do over the current Bondo spots, body filler spots. All right, back in the garage for another round of some primer. We're gonna shoot some primer tonight on the problem spots that we repaired over the last couple days. Got it cleaned up with wax and grease remover, sanded down to 220. Hoping everything is gonna look smooth once we have a couple coats of primer on there. Some good quality stuff right here, a little pricey, but it is worth the money. So let's go ahead and get cracking on this. Okay, there's a couple coats of the high build primer. It's a little difficult to tell like where you, like once it flashed, all the areas that I sprayed kind of disappeared. Once this dries, it should all become one uniform layer and you shouldn't be able to tell where we did the repairs. The trunk should be ready for wrap once we sand it down to 320. Another night, another couple coats of primer. We're just taking care of the quarter panel here. A little spot that we fixed, that dent, that's nice and smooth now. There's not even any sign of any dent going on here, so I think we did a great job. So I did 3 coats of the high build primer here. Same stuff I sprayed on the trunk. And what the hell is that? Why is that like that? Look at this, like, is it like a crease right there? I thought there was a crease right here on the quarter panel, but it's actually the shadow on this light. In the sun, it looks fine. It just looks like there's like a hard crease. We're gonna do 320 sand on both the trunk and the quarter panel where we sprayed the high build primer. And we'll be one step closer to getting this car wrapped. One more problem spot fixed. So, and I think this is the last major spot that I wanted to address. Sorry if anyone can understand what I'm saying, but I think you guys figured out. Yeah. Let's get back at it. Anyways, yeah, we got it sprayed last night. Everything looks good. I'm gonna go through and sand it with 320, get it all nice and uniform, get everything feathered in. But as I was sanding down the trunk from the last spray that we did, I was sanding it with 320 and I realized that I completely either missed a dent or sanded down with 80 grit sandpaper and didn't realize this area. But there's a significant dent right here you can feel with your fingers. So I'm in the process of getting that back down to bare metal. We're gonna do, you know, good old body filler work on this. Just this little area, so it shouldn't be too bad. Can't complain about the rest of the trunk. It's just that little dent. I don't know how I didn't feel it, but I did. So yeah, there's a dent there and we're gonna fix it tonight and it's gonna be looking nice and smooth. All right, let's get it. $80, $180. Woo. I'm gonna call that good. No sign of any damage under there, which is what I was going for. The trunk should be good to go to wrap once this little spot is sanded down. And yeah, one less panel to worry about on the car. I do want to spray over this little piece of body filler here. The rest is kind of just sanded down smooth on any flaking clear coat. Kind of looks like some cowl spots around here. A little bit of spotting, leopard spots maybe. And a little test piece of vinyl. Sanded down my whole hood to the primer. So I was just doing a little test to make sure it sticks, and Avery sticks no problem. I'm not sure about KPMF, which is the brand I'm going with this time. Got a little bit of etching primer here that I should probably sand down. And then I'll do one more go around on the clear coat sanding, whatever's flaking, My rear bumper's pretty bad. Got some flake going on there, so we'll definitely get that sanded down. This is showing the bare bumper material here. So we still got a long way to go, but we are making progress. We're chipping away at it. So that's what's most important. Making progress. The little time that I have to work on this car, I make the most of it after work. And here we are, so. All right, look at that beauty. All right, we just got it sanded down with 320 and it feels nice and smooth. So I'm happy with the results on this little patch job that we did. Still gotta sand that down with 320 and also the front fender with 320. But all the hard work and stuff that's gonna take forever is done. So this is how the fender's holding up after about a week or two. So I gotta get this sanded down, nice and smooth. Feather the edges and with the rest of it. And yeah, I wanna refurbish my carbon fiber hood scoop here. Thinking about wet sanding and doing a clear coat on that, getting it nice and shiny again. The roof is still holding up pretty good. I say pretty good because there is a spot right here. A little bit of cracking happening. I may have to sand that down and readdress this area. It's not really too drastic. Not really nothing too serious to fix from here on out. So that is good news. And we'll be wrapping this car before you know it. Well, hopefully. I mean, I started this prepping and stuff 2 years ago and I'm still not done with it. So my priorities might be a little different than the wife's priorities, but you know, I guess that's just being married. That's the married life. So anyways, that's gonna be it for tonight in the garage. I am out of time. I will catch you guys next time, and we'll continue the prep on the old car, the old Subi, for its new wrap, its new look, its new appearance, coming soon. All right, thanks guys for watching. We'll see you later.